Good afternoon, good morning, wheresoever, good evening. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. I am the West African correspondent, Amara. Welcome to live news of current events on the continent. Focus on Liberia is an international platform which uses all the opportunity at its disposal to ensure that we come to you with the latest development on the continent. We give you breaking news. We analyze this news, especially news that affect the African continent. Focus on Africa uses this proud forum, this proud time to ensure that we give you information that matter on the continent. We analyze events. We try to ensure that things happen the way they should be. We feel free to ensure that you help us to disseminate the news. You can also make your meaningful contribution on the program, because we cannot actually do without having your meaningful contribution, input, and whatsoever thing you feel about the said program. Africa, as it has also been, will continue to be an interesting continent. Today, tomorrow, and whatsoever thing that we watch at the continent, we are developing a 1 or 2 standard, because Africa yesterday is no longer Africa today. We are having our own political challenges. We are having series of problems amid the COVID-19 crisis. Our economic situation worsening, or is worsening, when we are seeing the like of Russia on the continent, and we are also observing that people like even the like of maybe Ukraine is also fighting to ensure that they establish itself on the continent. Then above all, places like Ethiopia are suffering. You watch at Somalia, South Sudan, North Sudan, Niger. You watch like DRC, Congo, Uganda. You see places like Kenya. You come to Mali, go to Burkina Faso, Guinea, Chad. The news are these are all politically unstable area. For far too long, just after the struggle for land partition of Africa, we saw how Africa in the early 1950s, they started becoming independent, one after another state. Unfortunately, independence was affected by perpetual war crimes, or let me say perpetual war on the continent. But because the spirit of democracy was being embraced, without the Africans being carefully taught on the importance or the principles of democracy, it resulted into series of wars, series of confrontation. So we actually forgot about that. Only in the late 1990s, we saw other wars happening on the continent, which led to a series of coup d'etat. Then by the time 2019 to 2020, we saw events taking place, especially in West Africa. We had the like of Yahya Jammeh of Gambia lost his position when he violated the constitution by not wanting to step down after he lost the election. Then we also observed places like Mali, IBK being overthrown. We saw Guinea, Alpha Conde was being overthrown because of constitutional coup. Then, of course, Ivory Coast, in the early 1990s, we saw out of demonstration, the like of Laurent Gbagbo left. Then the person who came in, Ouattara, he is now still using the same in the early 2000s. Gbagbo left in 2003. Then we are seeing Antoine Ouattara using the same maybe method that Gbagbo was kicked out of power to maintain himself into power. So all of those scenarios are definitely not good, and Africa is not actually striving the way that everybody thought it should be. But we as young people on the continent still remain to be optimistic. We don't want for pessimism maybe to overcloud our method or our way of thinking or whatsoever. We believe that maybe 1 or 2 in this continent must be exonerated. We must seek for emancipation. We must seek for mental liberation. So today, welcome to Focus on Liberia, Roundtable Africa, where we bring you latest development on the continent. Today we have maybe around 8 important stories. One, we start with Ethiopia in the name of Ukraine. Then also we get into Nigeria. In Ethiopia, Ukraine and Ethiopia leaders discuss Russia conflict. Let's see why they discuss. The Nigerian teachers threaten to slash work days, overpay, cut down work days, overpay. The Nigerian teachers threaten to say, okay, then we are also seeing in another news, we are seeing that Malawi expelled Chinese man convicted over what over receipt videos. Then we also see protection or terror, divided response to Kenyan police. A million more could face famine in Burkina Faso. IRC says that is one of the international NGO. Then the Wagner Group says Prigozhin, a chief, says it will continue to provide security on the continent despite a queer relationship with Russia. Then finally, we see Putin will not be arrested, neither will he attend the meeting that is slated for August in Africa, most precisely in South Africa. And the South African government also said if Putin we are to attend the meeting in Africa, on the soil of South Africa, and he is arrested, it could have been tantamount to a declaration of war. That is what Cyril Ramaphosa said. So let's start to go into the news in detail. Yesterday, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed communicated with Volodymyr Zelensky, that is the leader of Ukraine. He tried to negotiate with him on how peace can definitely return, peace and sanity can return to Ukraine, and the ability of Russia maybe to respect its peace details. Because since there was an agreement between Russia and Ukraine to respect the Black Sea and not to bomb any of the ships transporting grain across the continent, especially to Africa and other European countries, but Russia had decided to pull out after the deal expired, and it is threatening not to continue or to renegotiate or reactivate the deal again. The West, especially America, is claiming that Russia is trying to weaponize food. And places like Ethiopia, which enjoy from 20,000 tons of grain and 90,000, another one since it started, is now feeling the weight of Russia negation on the treaty. Actually, the one that was signed was 3 months, it has expired. But Russia now intends to weaponize food by refusing to negotiate another further renewal of the treaty. That led to Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed of Ethiopia calling Volodymyr Zelensky to ensure that maybe he has a way out with him, and how he can also reach Vladimir Putin, how to talk with him. And the two key pillars are Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine and Vladimir Putin into Russia. However, the Ukrainian president is willing to ensure that the deal is being renewed, because he knows that the renewal of the deal will help him gain more money to fight the war against Russia. However, the Russians are saying that they are not going to renegotiate any treaty, and they are not intending to weaponize any food. However, the decision of the state is in the state's interest and not on anybody. And since Russia is a sovereign state, nobody has the right to impose a decision on it or not to force it to do what they will do. So today now Africa is being left at the stake, especially places like Horn of Africa, which greatly depend on the Ukrainian grains that is being supplied to them. That is so unfortunate, and that is how the situation in Ethiopia is about to exacerbate, when Abiy Ahmed also have series of problems to confront, like the war, or trying to maybe amend its war it has with the Tigranian forces, which almost has come to an end, but he's still facing problem with the Amara region and Aromo, we do not want to disarm because they don't trust the Ukrainians. And now he's also facing problem how to maintain its full stability when Russia has decided to negate on the treaty, and with its intention to weaponize food, that one will further exacerbate the problem into Ethiopia, which is capable of leading to demonstration and can even oust a sitting government. So the situation in Ukraine, if Russia decide not to definitely respect a treaty, we end up creating huge amount of problem for both Western and African countries. I think the world need to turn in attention and see how to end this so-called conflict. And maybe negotiation could definitely happen. Both Russia and Ukraine need to be seriously looked into. Maybe the Western mentality need to be seriously viewed, because to me, the entire war into Ukraine is neither benefiting Ukraine nor Russia, because war is a very difficult investment. In fact, one of the greatest, or the biggest or the greatest investment undertaken by any other, can be undertaken by any other country, because each bullet it fires will never come back. Most of those destruction of properties that are taking place are very difficult maybe to be replaced. If not, they cannot adequately be replaced. And America is now selling weapons to those nations that surround Russia, even other countries, since Russia has definitely been vilified. And that situation will end up to create huge amount of problem. Maybe most of those weapons that we are manufactured for Russia by the West, especially America, over the past 50 years will now be sold to countries who think and feel that Russia is a threat to them. I think it's a laughable story. Let's come to West Africa. Nigerian teachers are threatening, but they have threatened definitely to slash their working days, 5 days a week, to what? 2, because of rising costs and their staple food, and also the fuel subsidy that was removed. It was so immature, maybe when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on the day of his inauguration and in his inaugural speech, he stated that the food, the subsidy that was being placed on the fuel has definitely been removed, which increased the prices of all domestic goods into the country, especially their staple food. And there was fuel crisis. So it's like a speech, instead of people embracing it, it ended up to create huge amount of problem. Now the teachers are demanding for 200% increment into their salaries, and also the removal of subsidy. The removal of subsidy on fuel should be returned, and the prices of food should be dropped down, or else they will not be teaching for 5 days per week. They will return to doing it 2 days per week, because that will cut down on their expenditure, especially the to and fro transport. And it will also enable the teachers to find other minor maybe employment that they can be able to support their family. And they are claiming that the teachers are the third largest employed force into the Nigerian society. So this is a very difficult situation facing the old man. Only God knows how he is going to survive it. We come into Malawi. Malawi expelled Chinese man convicted over racist video in some parts of July in 2022. A Chinese man was actually arrested in Zambia instead of Malawi when he used children in the form of caricature clowns to make TikTok videos and send them back to China. And each of those videos were actually paid for $70 per video when he sell it to this social media platform. Unfortunately, the parents of those children never knew the intention of the Chinese man. They thought he was just making fun, maybe learning them how to speak the Chinese language. And most of what they used to see or interpret when they were the wordings or the wordings of the Chinese language were being carefully interpreted, they were all insulting. I am an African. I am an illiterate. My IQ is low. I look like a devil. So these were some of the things. I am a monkey. I am a chimpanzee. I am an African. My IQ is low. I look like a devil. So these are some of the things. So those people in China now, we are now relaxing, watching at those children who behave in the form of clown. So he used them over 2 or 3 years, when those videos were being leaked by the careful investigation of the BBC I network, the Chinese man definitely was arrested in Zambia when he noticed that the authorities in Malawi were looking for him. So he was extradited, tried and convicted, jailed for 1 year, of course, which unarguably he has done his jail term service. Then he has been ordered to pay 60 million euro, and that money will be given to the parents whom children he abused, and it will be used to make in the form of compensation, also help these children to go to school. And the Chinese man has been banned never to step his feet on the soil of Malawi. I think other African leaders also should ban him never to return. And definitely they should call on the China government or the Chinese government to ensure that on his arrival in China, he should be punished because he made African or those African kids as laughing stock, which definitely should not be encouraged. It's an abomination. It's against the African culture, and that man deserves to be punished severely. Okay, we come into Kenya. Protection or terror? Divided response to Kenya's police. Kenyan leader William Ruto has congratulated or praised the Kenyan police on a job well done. He claimed that the Kenyan police used the maximum force to ensure that demonstration did not escalate or protest did not escalate in other part of Kenya, because the protest being called by Raila Odinga for Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday has created an animosity into Kenya, pandemonium, and it has resulted into the death of people, destruction of property, and it also created social unrest. The Kenyan leader last week said no one will be permitted to go on another demonstration. The police used lethal force against its citizens. In one of the allegations being made, he said that there was an incident where a policeman was being severely tortured because of his refusal to use lethal force against his own citizen. On reaching the police, they declined to comment, and they did not release any official figure of people who actually were killed. Human rights institutions and Amnesty International are claiming that maybe around 10 people were being killed, but the government has refused actually to tender in any official report on the amount of death that actually took place during the demonstration. Let's see. Coming to Russia-related issue, Wagner Group chief says activities to continue in Africa. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner Group, says his activities into Africa will continue unhindered. He said, wheresoever his forces are needed, he will continue to provide the necessary security, especially in trouble zones like Sierra in Sudan, in Mali, and in Burkina Faso. He said he's even had the ability to reinforce or reimburse those troops. He said Africa is one of his key areas in the world or on Earth where he wants to ensure that maximum peace and security have been achieved. However, other groups are accusing, especially human rights institutions are accusing the Wagner Group led by Prigozhin to be responsible for the torture and death of various people. Unfortunately, in states where this group is running its mercenary activities are politically volatile, they're having leaders in power who do not believe into the constitution and dispensation of their government. And they can only hold on to power as long as they have the means of lethal force. And the Wagner Group appear to be the suitable customer where they can always receive absolute or maximum support. So the man is saying, Prigozhin is saying that the group would maintain its state and stand on the continent, especially where they are currently operating. Let's see. Then we come into South Africa. Putin will not be arrested, neither will he attend the meeting slated for August in South Africa. The South African president said that an arrest of Putin on the soil of South Africa would be tantamount to a declaration of war. The Russian government pulled out a statement when other international communities were actually demanding. The issue was actually taken to the South African court for interpretation, but the court did not release a final judgment when the Russian government is saying that Mr. Putin will no longer attend the meeting slated for August. But maybe he could attend or not. It is just a matter of time, because Russia is an unpredictable society where the leader, Vladimir Putin, is very controversial and a non-conformist. And always you hardly trust non-conformists. They can change their attention at any time. Sometimes the attitude or behavioral pattern of non-conformists are not like Bible verses, where they are almost quoted the same way. He changes his behavior based on demanding situation. Let's see, just as he has changed his mind on the treaty that guaranteed transportation of grain on the Black Sea, he can easily also change his mind on him attending the meeting in South Africa or not. Or maybe it will be a bigger risk if we decide to attend the meeting in South Africa, because South Africa is definitely not Russia. I mean, he may not be as powerful as he thinks he is. Who knows what America and other nations might be planning against his person. I think it calls for attention, and I believe that his stand is more prudent by saying he will not attend. Please, you cannot test the depth of the water with your two legs. Anything is happening. Thank you. It's been me, Edward Amara, Focus on Liberia, West African Correspondent, coming to you with the latest development of the continent. Join me tomorrow, same place, same time. Thank you. Good night.